Yep.
Esmé, are you ready?
Yeah.
Cool. Um, so Esmé and I are going to be talking about the redevelopment of the Young Archaeologist Club website, or YAC for short, and how we use co-creation as an approach for this. If you see me looking off that way, that's because where my other screen is, so I'm not like dodging eye contact or anything like that. So my name is Amy. I'm 21 and I've been working at the Council for British Archaeology since May. I have a BSc in bioarchaeology, and I'm currently in the middle of dissertation season for my masters in bioarchaeology at York. So having a lot of fun. And here's a picture of me in a silly Roman hat. Over to Esme.
My name is Esmé. I'm 18 and I've been working at the CBA since March. I'm currently studying at the Open University and I'm also going to go study at York in September. There's a picture of me. Amy and I are both YAC website development placements, which is a long mouthful of a job title. But basically, we have been able to oversee the entire redevelopment project so far and been able to dip into all different bits of what it means to make a website, which has been really fun.
So what we're going to cover in this presentation is what is YAC. I'm aware that some of you may have no idea what this is, particularly those who are joining us internationally. What is co-creation? So kind of a brief overview about the process that we've been using. The co-creation sessions, so what we actually did, was it worth our time? And then finally, how can co-creation benefit archaeology? So it's not just looking at something very like kind of insular and just this one website idea, but kind of expanding out into our communities. So the Young Archaeologists Club, or YAC, which is what I'm going to say from now on, because otherwise it's a mouthful, is a UK-wide club for 8 to 16-year-olds. This can be either in school settings or outside of it. There are over 70 clubs around the UK. Adults can join as volunteers and they run the club. So this could be just adults in the community or it could be teachers. It allows young people to engage in archaeology in a far more material way than they would just through the education system. For those of you that aren't aware, there aren't any GCSEs or A levels in archaeology anymore. They got scrapped. So archaeology is really just not on the curriculum below the university level. So it gives people an insight into something they may not really know much about. YAC members can do activities such as excavation, so they can actually go onto an archaeological site and give it a go. Experimental archaeology, so they can make fun, like more kind of like practical hands-on sort of things. So fun things like necklaces, brooches, using techniques from the past. And heritage site visits. So these can be museums, archaeological sites, so on and so forth.
So why is the YAC website undergoing development? Here is the current YAC homepage, which you might be able to see if you followed my link in the chat. Plug in that, go look at it. We found that users thought the website was busy and overcrowded and that it was unnecessarily hard to navigate.
This is, oh, sorry.
You can go, it's fine.
Okay, so this is the join a club page. As you can see, it's not very easy to figure out where you can actually join a club. The map is quite small, and although the pictures are nice, they do dominate the page. And unfortunately, the postcode searcher does not work. So if you typed in your postcode, it wouldn't come up with anything. So it's just a bit impractical at the moment.
This is the Ask the Archaeologist page. It's a unique feature of the YAC website where anyone can submit questions to be answered by a professional archaeologist. But Ask the Archaeologist isn't really put to the forefront of the current site, so we'd like to upgrade that in the redevelopment and have it be a more prominent feature.
I'm going to attempt a Mentimeter code now. So Esme, if you could perhaps put the code in the chat. I'm going to stop sharing this PowerPoint and try and switch onto my Mentimeter PowerPoint. If that doesn't work, we'll just go back to using the chat feature. But Mentimeter is quite fun. Have you managed to do that, Esme? Can you?
Is that what I was supposed to do? I'm so sorry.
Yes, you've done it. Thank you. Sorry, it's hard to see on both. Right. Silent. Okay. If you start using the code, then you should be able to join in. I don't pay for Mentimeter, so only the first 50 of you will be able to join. So there we go. Starting to get some people coming through. We can get 10 people to do it. Thank you very much, Megan. So generally, it seems that the audience thinks that we did need to update this website. I think there should be a box to type in some words. So what immediately comes to mind about the ACK website, you can either put it in the chat or type it in the box. Yeah, those were some things that were coming through when we were doing the sessions, which we'll get onto in a bit. You know, so colourful, cluttered, and busy are the biggest things coming through at the moment.
Yeah,
Overwhelming, yeah, definitely.
I agree with not fit for today either. It's a bit of an outdated website design.
If anybody's got any kind of final words they want to put in, please pop them in. Otherwise, we'll do with the last bit. No, okay, cool. Next slide. What would you change? So please keep it very brief, as in 1 to 3 words. Don't need to, yes, as much as we would appreciate your essay length views on this, there's not enough time for that. Some really good ideas coming through. So if anybody's got any final thoughts, we'll put it in. Otherwise, I'll jump back to the other, more coming through. I'll jump back to the other presentation. Give it a second. Stop sharing. Okay. Hopefully the other presentation is up.
Well done for all that around him.
Yes, thank you very much for your input. That worked a lot better than I thought it would do. So what we've just done essentially with using the Mentimeter is a very, very, very condensed version of co-creation. Co-creation is a list of key terms such as making space, lifting voices, collaboration, meaningful engagement. Oh, gone too far. And meaningful engagement. So these sorts of things are concepts that don't really make sense on their own. But kind of just as you've seen with the Mentimeter, we've let you tell us what the problem is. We haven't told you what the problem is. So we've made space for you to be able to tell us oh, it's a bit colourful and it's not really fit for today, and we think that we need to simplify the way the website works and whatever. And by doing that, we've lifted voices. So one of the key things about co-creation is ensuring that every part of your audience is represented. So we've got quite a wide range of audience today, but something that was key when we were running the co-creation process was to make sure there was a wide range of people coming. It wasn't just a whole bunch of like 17-year-olds or whatever, or how much of 65-year-olds. Collaboration. So you've told us all these things. We then have to go away and actually work on those ideas or work with you to make them better. And meaningful engagement. So not just saying, right, thank you very much, and then you'll never hear back from us ever again, but keeping you updated with the process about how everything is going on, how about what you've provided with us is actually being used in the project. So we're just going to go over some brief pros and cons. Esmé will go through the pros.
The pros of co-creation, it engages an audience who will be using the product from the get-go, so everyone's engaged and ready from the start. It makes the end result more accessible and usable for the audience. It ensures that audience needs are being met because they have a say in its creation. And it creates a strong base from which that product, like a website, can then go on to be developed in the future.
So the cons of co-creation is it's costly, both time-wise and financially. It's time intense. This is not a process you can do in 5 minutes. It's something that you need to spend a long time going through and adding it back to whatever you're developing. It involves professional help. So whether this is like the CBA used a separate company in order to help with co-creation, or ensuring that people within your own team have the professional qualifications to facilitate co-creation through various training programs or whatever, you need to have somebody who actually knows what they're doing running it. And it requires an incentive. So it's not just something people aren't just going to come along necessarily for the fun of it. They are very fun sessions, but they're not necessarily, they want to get something out of it. So not co-creation, you don't need to give a financial reward for doing it. We gave the volunteers some gift cards to help with this, and it's generally considered best practice to give a financial incentive, but it's not required. But yeah, just helpful. And it requires interest retention. There's no point in going, right, we're going to do this wonderful, amazing thing, and then everybody turns up for the first session and it's great, it's wonderful, it goes really well, and then by the end of the second session, everybody's bored and turned off because you've completely changed from session 1 to session 2, or you've not been clear and honest about what you're actually going to be doing, or you've not kept the audience interested in between the two sessions or further sessions.
So for our co-creation process, we decided to conduct a series of online meetings with our co-creation group, which we planned and delivered with the help of the amazing team at Progress Today. We recruited our group of co-creators by advertising to the entire YAC network. I have a long list of things to read out. I'm going to not read it, so it's nice and short. But just know we covered the entire network of people that we could to get consultants from. We aim to have an even mix of young consultants and adult volunteers in order to represent all of the YAC's user base. We recruited 9 young consultants and 7 volunteers. In practice, there was more attendance from the young consultants, with 5 regularly attending, as opposed to 3 regularly attending volunteers. For every session they attended, as Amy said, young consultants received £20 vouchers, and YAC volunteers were given one-off £50 vouchers for their branches. And that's because we wanted to incentivize people and we wanted to compensate people for their time. Our co-creation sessions happened at agreed upon times so that they wouldn't clash with our co-creator schedules. And our co-creators were given updates by the website development team at Me3 on how their ideas were implemented into the beginning stages of development.
And just add on that, we are halfway through the co-creation process, so unfortunately there's not a shiny new YAC website for you to go and look at, but we are working on it. So how were the co-creations meetings structured? So we had a kick-off session, and that was really just kind of like an icebreaker session, so everybody got to know each other, got to understand when worked best, what sort of technology ability everybody had, whether they could do really high-tech fancy stuff on Zoom or whatever, or if you just keep it a bit more low-key. This was run by Kieran from Progress Today. And then he was helped by Ella on the left and Mia on the right. So Kieran was kind of the energy guy. He got everybody like up and ready and very excited for it, whilst Ella and Mia handled the more nitty-gritty side of it, I suppose. Then the next session looked at what should a good website do. So we looked at comparisons to websites such as Girl Guiding and like Code Club. What do they have that the Yak website currently doesn't have, and what do they do well that the other one doesn't? Then we've moved on to content and branding. So some of the branding had to be kept the same. So the Yak yellow, which you saw on the original hand, that had to be kept the same. But otherwise, we're looking at accessibility features, so colors, fonts, you name it, make sure everybody's happy with that. Then we looked at content creation. So me and Esme helped to facilitate these sessions. So I looked at aspect of it where we're talking about how can we portray what archaeology is through stories of artifacts, rather than just giving a bog standard definition of archaeology as a study of material culture in the past, because it's a bit boring. And then Esme looked at personal stories from the co-creators to see how they could be inputted onto the Yak website for just content and for donation pages. Then finally, we've looked at social media comm strategy. So how we're going to build up to the release of this new website come November time-ish, and how we're going to get people in the archaeological world and a wider range interested in this new website.
So here's a example of what we learned at one of the meetings, which is the content and branding session. We picked out different color schemes, fonts, and menu options. As you can see, the sessions were designed to be full of lots of different activities. So we weren't just sat writing down our thoughts, but we also engaged in stuff like making the color palettes. We were able to learn so much from this approaches as well. For example, the color scheme activity, we're able to see that the yak yellow is super important to people, as well as blues and greens, things like that. Show that yak has a good branding going for it, that it's stuck in people's minds, and that people wanted to pick colors that were also accessible, which was a big important theme throughout our co-creation sessions.
So this was the content creation we did. As you can see on the left of the image is some of the artifacts that were discussed with some disc brooches from Kent. And then they also talked about the hand cave paintings, sorry, that you found across the world in Argentina and Spain, and how that can be linked to explain what archaeology is. And then at the bottom, you can see what Esme and her group got up to. We're talking about different personal stories from different perspectives, so people as volunteers or their children, or people that have actually been in Yak. So archaeology can really benefit from co-creation. One of the main ways of this is looking at community engagement. So how can we get the people around us actually into archaeology? Because a lot of people only access it through museums or through school, and they're not very interested in it because it's not always presented in the best way. So how can we get the different type of like learning styles into archaeology, but also let people know what archaeology is and it like is around them. People is absolutely everywhere across the whole of the UK and the rest of the world. So how can we get everyone involved? And then talking about improving accessibility. So how can we get more people into archaeology that may not have been able to before? So people that have maybe got learning disabilities or whatever, how can they get into it? Yeah, and by getting people from those groups talking to archaeologists and actually having archaeologists properly listen to them through the co-creation process, you can get a more realistic option of what like is actually going to happen in the future.
I'm just going to conclude really quickly. The process was a success. It was a positive experience for everyone involved, and we will reconvene in October. As Amy said, we're only halfway through, to review the beta site and make sure that everything worked out okay. And here's all of our beautiful references put here by Amy.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.